Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking routines because I have always had an issue with creating routines that are, first of all, like healthy and sustainable routines, things that I can like keep up with on the long term. And I just feel like we need to talk about it. So let's talk about it. So my history with routines basically begins with any time I've ever set a routine, I've always thought about it as this kind of restrictive thing. Like I feel like I lose a huge chunk of my freedom. It wasn't until recently, probably within the last like year or two, that I've started to shift my mindset with routines, that they do not have to be restrictive. They don't have to feel that way at all whatsoever. Instead, in fact, I can shout out to my therapist for this one. She was like, well, maybe you need loose routines. And I don't know, something about her saying that really made something click in my brain, and life hasn't been the same since. I love a good loose routine. Okay, so let's explain what I've come to recognize as a loose routine, because I understand like a loose routine, what does that even mean? So let me explain it. Essentially, you create a list of goals, right? And in order to reach your goals, you have to have routines in place so that way you can kind of keep yourself accountable so you can reach those goals, however long-term or short-term, whatever kind of goal you have. So in order to do that, you have to kind of write down like, what are the essentials? Like we want to pinpoint this down into like a morning routine, for example. What are the essential items that I have to do every single day just to get up and function? Like write down those essential things. In this case, it would be probably, if it's a morning routine, you probably want to brush your teeth. You probably need to get dressed. If you're a morning showerer, then that is something that you could throw into your essential items. Anything along the lines of that. So like for me, I brush my teeth, I get dressed in the morning, I need to eat breakfast, I make morning coffee, and those are kind of like the essential things in my morning routine. Those are the things that I will do no matter what, because I have to do them in order to like basically get my day started. Then you start to add on to that from your essentials. Now that you have your essentials down, this is kind of like the base frame of what your routine exists of. Then you think about your goals and think about, okay, how can I achieve those goals? What are some things that I can implement into my routines? Again, going back to this whole morning example thing that we're doing here. If I decided that I wanted to feel more confident and feel stronger in my body, the only way for me to be able to achieve that goal at some point in the future is to put some sort of body movement into my morning routine. So in this case, I would add on a few bullet points, maybe doing like a morning walk in my neighborhood, or like a morning exercise routine that's 30 minutes long or something like that. Kind of listing out what that looks like. If it's something about wanting to eat more nutritious foods, maybe meal prepping or meal planning is something you could add into what you do every morning to think about like how you're going to eat the rest of the day. There's a lot of different things that you could throw in here, but you have your essentials now, and now you're adding on the tasks that will help you accomplish whatever your goals are. So that's your one list, your two list. Now let's pop into the third list. And this one is my favorite list. This is a list of things that honestly just bring you joy. These are just the things that make you love life, the things that spark a little bit of happiness in you, spark some joy, all that stuff. So for me, going back to things that I love, because I feel like the only way I can really better explain this is if I give examples of how I process into all of this loose routine building. I love to paint. I love to hang out with my dogs. I love to read. I love to bake bread is like one of my newer hobbies. If you've been on this channel, you know I have some bread making vlogs that I have posted because I've been on a bread journey. So those are some things that I really love. So now that you have these three lists, you have your essential list, you have a task list to be able to reach your goals, and then the third list is just things that bring you joy, things that make you happy, things that bring you pleasure on a day-to-day basis. Now that you have those three lists, we're now going to create what I like to call a loose routine. So you're going to take the things that you've written down into those three lists and create three more lists, but these ones are going to be a little bit more of a structured list. And what you're going to break those into is your ideal routine, your bad day routine, last but not least, your energized routine. The purpose of your ideal routine is Basically, you're going to need your essentials and you're going to need the tasks that will help you with whatever your goals are, whatever you're trying to grow in. Ideally, you would be able to do all of those things in one day. So write down what that looks like for you. So I like to put timestamps, and I like to say, like, I want to get up at 8 o'clock every morning, and around 8:10, I need to finally actually get out of bed. And that's when I'll brush my teeth, get dressed. And then around 8:20 is when I'll make my morning coffee. 8:30, I'll make breakfast. 8:45, I'll go for a morning walk around the neighborhood. And then 9 o'clock, start work. That would be like my ideal routine in a perfect world. In an ideal world, that is everything that I would need to get done in a day. So that would be your ideal routines. And you can break this down into more than just morning routines. I'm just sticking with my main example here, but you can kind of break these down. If you want an ideal day, write down what you need to do in an ideal day. What does your morning routine look like? What does your night routine look like? What does your exercise routine look like? You can really get down into like the real essentials and real details of each routine in your life, but start with something simple. No need to get overwhelmed just yet. Now that you have your ideal routine, you're going to take your next list and we're going to create a bad day routine. These are days you wake up and it's just a bad day. Maybe something happened. Maybe you woke up, you're not feeling very good, but you're not going to have a lot of energy to devote to actually doing everything on your ideal list, because let's be honest, we all have bad days. If we just kind of wake up and we're sick, we're not going to be able to complete everything on our ideal list. And I think sometimes when we have an ideal routine and we're like, oh, I feel guilty for not completing everything on there, we forget that, look, we're all human. Not every day is going to be a good day. And so this is kind of where my loose routines come into play, is that you have the ideal routine and now you have a bad day routine, which essentially just consists of your essentials, the things you have to do. You have to eat. You got to drink water. Maybe if you're working, you got to work. Or if you're a student and you have a test coming up, you got to study for the test. You have to put the essentials on your bad day. Just do the essentials. No need to get crazy. The last loose routine that I like to include as well in my loose routines here is a high energy day. These are the days that are opposite of your bad days, but you just wake up, you're in a really, really good mood. You just have a lot more energy than you did. Maybe you got a really good night's rest and you just have a lot of energy. There's a lot of stuff that you're like, wow, what do I do with all this extra energy and time? In this case, this is the routine where I like to combine all three of the lists that we originally made. So we're going to take our essentials, we're going to take our tasks for growth, and we're going to take all the fun things that we like to do in our day and include them. So if you wake up, let's say an hour earlier than you normally do, and you're like, I have a lot of energy, I don't need to sleep in until 8 o'clock, and you wake up at 7, well, what are you going to do with that extra time? This is where your high energy routine comes into play, because you can kind of fall into, well, what are the things I like to do? What things will bring me joy and bring me happiness and fill my cup, rather than just like kind of wasting that extra energy you have. Maybe you want to spend extra time making a really good cup of coffee. Maybe you have an espresso machine and this is your time to actually create a nice espresso drink. Maybe you are a painter or a writer and you love to journal. This is extra time for you to be able to open up your journal and write a few little things down now that you have extra time. That is what your high energy routine would consist of. So to recap here, loose routines are not meant to feel restrictive at all whatsoever. It's supposed to be the opposite. You're basically setting up a structure of like what kind of day you could potentially have. If you're having a bad day, you have a low energy routine that you can move into and lean on. If you are just feeling like it's a regular day, you have your ideal routine that you can work towards doing every single day. And then if you wake up, you got a lot of energy, you're in a great mood, then you have your high energy routine that you can lean on at the end of the day. It's the same routine, but there's nuance in each one that allows you to flex based on your emotions and how you're feeling every day. It's really helped me as far as routines go. I always write them out and what that would look like for me based on all three of them, because when I write it out and I visually see it, it makes me feel like, okay, this is actually achievable. Because like I said, I used to go into routines and I would write down basically only an ideal routine, like what that would look like. And if I couldn't achieve it, I would feel bad about myself. And this allows me to give myself space and to lean into whatever routine that I'm feeling like for that day. We have three routines that we can pick and pull from. Your essentials routine, that's when you're having a bad day. That's literally just the essentials. You have your ideal routine, which is your essential tasks, along with the things for growth that you're working towards. Then you have your high energy routine, which is your essentials, your tasks for growth, along with just fun things you like to do, things that bring you joy, things that you love. Those are your 3 things. I feel like I'm visually pointing them out here. Anyways, there's three things. That is what I call a loose routine. It's being able to flex based on however you're feeling that day. If you feel like you could use a little guided routine reset and some exercises to help you really fall into how can I create routines that are healthy and sustainable and that I can actually like keep up with and that will actually stick around with me, I actually just launched last month a routine reset. It's a way to refresh and renew your routines on my website. It's a 5-day email challenge. Also comes with the Notion template. It's honestly, I do it myself, and I feel like that's saying something because whenever I do it myself, I actually feel like I have a better understanding of what my routines look like, what my goals look like, and things that I can work towards. So I highly recommend it, of course. It's only $10 right now. I have it on sale because it is freshly new and freshly launched. So take advantage of the sale while you can. And I promise it is worth it to hold yourself accountable to create a better life and work towards a life that you want to be and a person you want to be. Thanks so much if you've made it all the way through this video. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know your thoughts on loose routines. If you like it, if you don't like it, I'm just curious to hear your thoughts because this is something that I've really leaned into as I've gotten older. You can thumbs up and like this video, leave a comment if you have something to say. You can subscribe. I post videos pretty much every single Friday, and then my podcast episodes on Monday where I go into even more detail about some of these topics. And of course, if you found this video valuable, you can always share it with a friend if you think that this is something that they could benefit from. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this week's episode on this week's video on this channel. I'm still getting used to what to call these. I don't know. Is it a channel? Is it an episode? Is it a video? I don't know. We'll figure it out one day, everybody. But in the meantime, I will see you guys next week. Bye.